Whilst this channel's about Utrecht, I don't want to make it seem like we dislike anywhere else in the Netherlands, so I thought I'd say a few nice things about our fellow Randstad cities. So Amsterdam, congratulations on the 747th birthday. It's not every city that can balance being a business hub, whilst also providing the party atmosphere that's put you on the map. Den Haag, some people think you're boring, but I think you're pretty chill. I even took my mum on holiday there once, so you must have something going for you. It may have taken you until Napoleonic times to gain city rights, but in the meantime you still got Scheveningen Beach and Huis ten Bosch. And Rotterdam. For as long as there's been an Amsterdam, there's been a Rotterdam telling us how to do it better. With the biggest port in Europe and providing a modern Dutch city, you may have needed a lick of paint in the past, but you've not lost any of the charm. But this year, you're all going to have to suck it, because Utrecht's 900, baby, yeah! Hit it! Utrecht is rolling out the red carpet for 900 years since we gained city rights. Today, we'll look over the founding of the city as well as how this year is going to be celebrated, but first, we need to see how Utrecht came to be. Now, unfortunately, I'm not 900 years old, so I don't know what happened back then. So I've instead come to the Utrechtse Archive in order to find out a little bit more about what happened back then and also what's happened in the meantime. They've got a load of great exhibitions, they've even got some temporary ones, so you can find out all about life in Utrecht throughout the ages. And there's some pretty great exhibitions. While there's a study hall where all the actual documents are kept, we're instead visiting the expo hall in the city centre, which currently contains 5 exhibitions. They all have interactive elements and you can enjoy everything from information about Utrecht FC to a holographic introduction to the archive and to the city. I'll have more information about the Utrechtse Archive, but in the meantime, we've found exactly what we're looking for. In one of the permanent exhibits, we have a copy of the original city rights document. The original is kept safely at the archive's other location, but this has enough to tell us what we need to know. So here's what I've learned. It's 1122 and Utrecht's a place, but it's not a city yet. It's actually been around since the Roman times. In fact, we're stood right now where the Roman camp used to be, but now it's a part of the Holy Roman Empire, which is run by a guy called Henry V. The province itself, for the last 500 years, have been owned by the bishops of Utrecht, with the current one being a guy called Godebold. Now, Godebold wants to dam up a place called the Kromme Rijn. This is in order to get more land and thus more power, but unfortunately, Utrecht has been growing as an important trading city, and thus the traders have been using the Kromme Rijn in order to transport goods. As luck would have it for the traders, the emperor actually grew up about 200 meters that way in a place called Palace Lofer. And even more luckily for them, the emperor actually sided with them. This caused all-out war between the bishop and the emperor. Eventually the emperor won, and in return for being allowed to dam up the Kromme Rijn, the bishop had to build a new canal called the Waardse Rijn. Look, here it is. Most importantly for the citizens, Utrecht was also turned into a city. This meant that citizens were allowed in the city council, which means less power to the bishops, and they no longer had to pay any tolls to the bishop either. Thus, on the 2nd of June, 1122, Utrecht became the future Netherlands' second city. The celebrations officially start on the 2nd of June on City Day, but the build-up is already on the way. To start with, Utrecht will plant 10 linden trees around the city as a memorial, one for each district in the city. Luckily for you, I spent my Sunday going around and taking videos of them. The locations will be as follows. Here on Paardenveld, here by the Church of St. Dominicus, somewhere over there by that cafe. Here in this suburban park, on Jokke Schmidtplein, and in Noordse Park, and finally here by Voorveldse Park, as well as one in Leische Rijn and one in Vleuten de Meren. Since last June, there's been over 150 unique suggestions for the locations. The trees will all be in places that are publicly accessible, where people can meet and form memories. Trees will also be accompanied by art from Annabel Scholte, an artist who graduated this year from HKU in Utrecht and was selected after an open call was put out for designs. The art pieces will take the form of tiles around trees that people's feet have been cast in, but they haven't been installed yet. If you want your own memory tree, Well, you're in luck, as the City Council is giving away a further 890 trees to residents. While the trees heavily involve the work of one person, this next part involves over 900 people. Whilst walking around the city, you may have seen a bunch of flyers pop up in windows around the city. Last year, applications opened to the residents of Utrecht to upload their photo to be used on these posters that show their name, portrait number, as well as how long they've been in the city for. If you follow the QR code or link, you can listen to a brief audio recording of their story. The council have tried to get Utrechters from all walks of life included, as well as some historic Utrechters. One example is Trein van Liempert. She is a local legend, born around 1830 and supposedly played a part in the 80 Years' War. Utrecht, at the time, was under the thumb of Spain. When the war started, a castle at Vredenburg was taken over by rebel forces. However, the local government refused to destroy the castle after being petitioned. So, the story goes, Trein led a group of women with pickaxes to knock down the fortress herself. Another is Annemaria van Schuurman, who was a Dutch painter in the 1600s. She was a bit of a Renaissance woman, knowing over 14 languages. However, she's known for her defense of women's education, as well as being the first woman to study at a Dutch university. Although women were banned from attending university due to religious laws, Anna was permitted due to her exceptional Latin skills, her petitioning of the local government, and a poem she wrote about the city. However, she was only allowed to attend if she sat behind a curtain so as not to distract male students. You can read her story in the Utrechtse archive and view her portrait, which is also kept behind a curtain. So keep an eye out for community events happening. There's a maximum of €50,000 per event. The celebrations will last from June 2nd on City Day to November 11th, which is the Saint's Day of Utrecht's patron saint, Saint Martin. If you've been waiting for me to say more about her Utrechtse archive, the expo hall is open from 10 till 5 Tuesday to Friday and 12:30 to 5 on weekends. It costs €2.50 and is free for kids up to the age of 12 and for students or for anybody presenting a museum or U-Pass. It's located a 15-minute walk from the station on Hamburgerstraat 28 and is sandwiched between the historic Altegracht and Nieuwegracht canals, so you're more likely than not to stumble across it anyway. They have a great variety of exhibits, so even if you don't know much about this city, you're likely to find something interesting. As I mentioned before, most of the exhibits have an interactive element, which is definitely a plus, and as you've seen, it's been very useful in this video, so it's definitely going on my recommended list. So in the meantime, happy celebrations, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!